Thanks for joining us and welcome to PO Sports Talk. I'm Ed Gottwals along with Colin Stevens this week. Here we are in the middle of the first week of the season, and I'm sure most athletic directors are crossing their fingers that there's a little bit of slack in this rain because Friday night looks like it might be problematic otherwise. And this is going to be the first of many times I think the Greencastle AD Vicky Ritchie is going to be happy to have that turf on Cayley Field. That's going to be huge for Friday. Okay, first up for discussion we have Chambersburg at Waynesboro, which is 7:30 Friday at Indian Field. It seems like every year almost there's a game at Waynesboro early in the season where it's all muddy and the field gets torn up and everything else. Hopefully it won't be so bad this week. I did see on the weather report they only got about half an inch so far as of like Wednesday evening, so that's not as bad as most areas. And actually, if there's a wet track, it might actually help the Indians because Chambersburg looked awful good last week on offense, scoring 43 points against Greencastle, which normally has a very tough defense. And then you got a chance to see some of that game.
Yeah.
What are your impressions?
I thought Chambersburg, looked really good. They had a really strong passing attack going. Connor McCoy, quarterback, had a really good rhythm with his running backs and his wide receivers coming out of the backfield. They ran a lot of wheel routes, and that might be more difficult if the field conditions aren't that good. Those receivers might not be able to make the cuts they were making against Greencastle, but they were also able to run the ball real well with Jamal Pickett. And if that offensive line can get something going, get some traction, start pushing the Waynesboro defensive front back, Chambersburg could still put up a good amount of points, especially if it's not raining during the game and the wide receivers, the ball's not too slick and the wide receivers can catch on that ball. It could be another high-scoring game for Chambersburg, but it really does depend on what the field's looking like.
Could be. Last week, Waynesboro lost 60-6, I think, to Susquehanna Township, who has an excellent offense too. The Indians have a very tough start here. Greencastle is going to host their first game on the renovated Cayley Field. They're going to host New Oxford at 7:30 on Friday. While Greencastle is getting edged by Chambersburg, the Colonials dropped a 40-21 decision at Delone Catholic. And you got to see Greencastle play last weekend, obviously, so what do you think of them?
What a tough game. Heartbreaking loss, missing the field goal at the end of the game, but those kids played hard throughout the game. They had strong special teams. I think it was a two-part return for touchdowns there.
Yeah.
So special teams is going to be a factor for them, it seems like, against any team. But Tyler Savarsky and Denver Cordell looked great running the ball, especially down the stretch. With about 5 minutes left, Savarsky was getting the ball up the gut every time. He kept moving the chains. Unfortunately, just the field goal from the left hash mark didn't connect at the end. But, I expect them to really be frustrated about last week and come out playing even harder this week and looking for a big win.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Chuck Dennis was not very happy about the turnovers. They had 4, and that really made a big difference last week against Chambersburg, kind of let them back in the game. So I imagine you had a few words to say to those boys this week. The third game Friday night is Shippensburg, who's coming off a close win against Middletown. They're hosting Kennerdale at 7 o'clock on Friday. Last week, Kennerdale took a 13-7 win over York Catholic. I know you didn't get a chance to see Shippensburg last week, but they had a pretty nice win.
Oh, they did, definitely. They're starting with their defense. They only let up 10 points in the game, all in the second quarter. So if their defense can put together another strong performance like that, they'll be looking good. But the other thing I think that's going to benefit them is with these field conditions, we're talking about running the ball. They ran the ball 59 times last week. So I don't think they're hiding anything from anyone. They're going to be looking to run the ball again this week. And that definitely benefits them in poor field conditions. If their offensive line can keep things going, they should be able to come out with another strong performance. As long as they don't get behind and have to go to that pass, they can keep running the ball throughout the game. They'll definitely be in a good position at the end.
Yeah, I know Shippensburg would like to pass more this year, but if they continue to run well, I'm sure they'll stick right with it.
No reason to go to the pass.
Yeah. James Buchanan is off this week, so the only game on Saturday, Mercersburg Academy opens its season by hosting the Cleveland Knights, which is actually a team from Cleveland. And they've already played twice, and they've won both games. So I think Mercersburg might have their hands full a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio teams are, notoriously very tough. And Ohio is competitive. They put them up there with Texas teams and and a very tough region. So we're not sure what we're getting from this team, but just from the reputation from the state, and since they are 2-0, it's probably going to be a very tough game.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about this team, so well, I mean, they are 2-0, but that's about it, so can't really judge who they played.
Yep.
Okay, thanks again for joining us for Sports Talk. Have a good week and enjoy the games.